An entrepreneur's journey is not a straight highway lined with clear signboards and perfect weather. It is a winding road filled with bumps, detours, and unexpected turns. Most people see these bumps as reasons to slow down, maybe even reasons to stop entirely. But an entrepreneur, someone who truly understands the game, sees something different. They see each obstacle as an invitation to think differently, to stretch their abilities, to step into a space where others have given up. That is where opportunities are born. You see, the world doesn't hand out rewards to those who only move forward when the path is easy. Anyone can walk a smooth road. The real rewards, the breakthroughs, the innovations, they belong to the people who face a blocked road and say, all right, how else can I get there? It's not about pretending the challenge isn't real. It's about refusing to let that challenge become the end of the story. Think about it. Every successful product, every thriving business, every revolutionary service came into existence because someone looked at a problem and decided to solve it. A crowded marketplace. That means there's already demand. A gap in the market. That's a space for you to fill. A customer frustration. That's your opportunity to build loyalty. The problem itself is like a signal flare telling you where your attention should go. But most people turn away from it because it looks like work, it feels uncomfortable, and it demands change. The entrepreneur steps toward it. The difference between those who get stuck and those who succeed lies in the questions they ask. Most people see a problem and ask, why me? Or why now? An entrepreneur sees the same problem and asks, what can I do about this? Or how can this be used to my advantage? That simple shift in questions changes the entire direction of thought. It moves you from being a victim of the problem to becoming the creator of the solution. And here's the truth. Problems have a hidden gift. They make you resourceful. They force you to dig deeper into your mind and your abilities. They make you discover solutions you never would have thought of in comfort. If everything was smooth all the time, there would be no need to invent, no reason to improve, no push to innovate. Comfort keeps you still, problems push you forward. Let's take a real-world example. Imagine a store owner who suddenly loses access to their physical location due to an unforeseen crisis. Many would simply shut down and wait for better days. But an entrepreneur might see this as the perfect time to go online, reach more customers, and remove the limits of a single location. The challenge became the trigger for transformation. That is the difference in mindset. Now, you might be thinking, but some problems are just too big. And yes, there are problems that look like mountains too large to climb. But here's the thing about mountains. They are made up of smaller rocks. Break the problem down. Handle what you can today. And when tomorrow comes, handle a little more. It's not about crushing the entire obstacle in one blow. It's about taking consistent steps that turn something impossible into something manageable. Opportunities are rarely wrapped in shiny paper with a clear label. More often, they come disguised as hard work, uncertainty, and discomfort. The people who run from these challenges miss the treasure buried inside them. The ones who embrace them get to enjoy the reward that comes from doing what others would not. When you start to see problems as invitations, something amazing happens. You stop fearing them. You might not enjoy them, but you respect them. You know they are the raw material from which you will build your success. And with every problem you solve, your confidence grows. You begin to trust yourself, knowing that no matter what comes your way, you have the ability to figure it out. The entrepreneur's mindset is not about avoiding trouble. It's about using it. It's about understanding that the very thing trying to block your path could be the thing that opens a better one. Instead of closing the door, it may be redirecting you to a bigger opportunity you didn't see before. That's the mindset shift that separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the builders, the ones who give up from the ones who go on to create something extraordinary. In business and in life, the same event can either crush you or carry you to a new level, and the difference lies entirely in how you choose to see it. Perspective is the lens through which you interpret the world, and that lens determines your decisions, your emotions, and your outcomes. Two people can face the exact same setback. One walks away defeated, the other walks away determined. It's not because the second person had more resources or better luck. It's because they saw the situation differently. They chose a perspective that gave them power instead of taking it away. Think about a storm at sea. One captain sees danger, panic, and the possibility of sinking. Another captain sees a chance to test his ship, to navigate stronger currents, and to reach a destination faster if he uses the wind wisely. The storm itself doesn't change. It's the same for both, but the meaning they attach to it changes everything. This is exactly what happens to entrepreneurs. The market drops, a major client leaves, or a competitor launches something better. The facts are the same for everyone in the industry, but only a few will frame these events as opportunities instead of disasters. Perspective allows you to turn what most people consider an ending into a beginning. If a product fails, you could decide you're not cut out for business, or you could decide you've just been given priceless feedback about what doesn't work, which moves you one step closer to figuring out what does. If a partnership falls apart, you could focus on the loss, or you could focus on the space you now have to align with someone who truly shares your vision. The reality hasn't changed, only the story you tell yourself about it. The key to mastering perspective is learning to pause before you react. Challenges have a way of triggering immediate emotions: fear, anger, frustration. If you respond from that place, you're letting the challenge control you. But when you pause and ask yourself, how else can I see this? What might be the advantage here? You open the door to a different set of actions. Suddenly, instead of feeling trapped, you feel curious. Instead of feeling helpless, you feel resourceful. That shift in perspective changes not just how you think, but what you do next. Some of the most successful businesses in history came from people who refused to see a problem as the end of the road. When markets crashed, some entrepreneurs didn't hide, they bought undervalued assets. When technology replaced old ways of doing business, some didn't complain, they adapted and grew faster than their competitors. It's not that these people had some magical immunity to fear. They felt it like everyone else. But they trained themselves to step back and reframe the situation before making decisions. Perspective is also about seeing beyond the present moment. Many challenges feel overwhelming because we only look at them through the lens of right now. But ask yourself, how will this look in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years? Problems that feel huge today often become the stories you laugh about later, the ones you share to inspire others, the ones that taught you lessons you couldn't have learned otherwise. By stretching your vision beyond today, you can carry yourself through the hard parts with more patience and confidence. It's important to understand that perspective is not denial. It's not about pretending that difficulties aren't real. It's about acknowledging them fully, but refusing to let them be the final word. It's about asking better questions, choosing empowering interpretations, and acting from a place of strength instead of weakness. When you master perspective, you become less reactive and more intentional. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start being a creator of outcomes. Every challenge you face is like a coin with two sides. One side is the problem, the loss, the risk, the pain. The other side is the opportunity, the lesson, the growth, the new path. Most people never flip the coin. They keep staring at the problem side until it drains their energy. The entrepreneur flips the coin, sometimes over and over, until they find the angle that moves them forward. That's why the same challenge that bankrupts one person can create a breakthrough for another. When you control your perspective, you control your energy. And when you control your energy, you control your actions. From there, opportunities are no longer something you wait for. They become something you create, even from the most unlikely circumstances. Resilience is not something you either have or you don't. It is something you build, something you train, and something you strengthen over time, just like a muscle. The more you put it to work, the stronger it becomes. In the world of entrepreneurship, resilience is not optional. It is the foundation on which everything else rests. You can have brilliant ideas, a great product, or a solid plan, but without resilience, one setback can make it all fall apart. Every entrepreneur will face moments that test their limits. Deals will collapse at the last minute. Investments will fall through. Competitors will launch something faster or cheaper. There will be days when you've done everything right and still things go wrong. In those moments, the question is not whether you will feel disappointed. You will. The question is whether you will allow that disappointment to stop you or whether you will stand back up and keep moving. Resilience is what makes that decision possible. Think about how muscles grow in the body. You don't build them by avoiding strain. You build them by putting them under stress. You lift, you push, you stretch, and in the process, the muscle fibers tear and then repair themselves stronger than before. Resilience works the same way. You grow it by facing situations that challenge you, by enduring difficulties you didn't think you could handle, and by coming through those moments with lessons learned. Every obstacle you overcome adds a layer of strength you can use the next time things get hard. Most people think resilience is about being unshakable, about never feeling pain or frustration, but that's not true. Resilience is not about avoiding the emotional weight of a setback. It's about carrying that weight and still taking the next step. It's about showing up again and again, even when you'd rather quit. It's the discipline of moving forward, even if progress feels painfully slow. One of the greatest benefits of resilience is that it changes your relationship with failure. People who lack resilience see failure as proof that they are not capable. People who have built resilience see failure as part of the process. They understand that falling down is not the opposite of success. It is a step toward it. This mindset removes the fear that stops so many people from trying in the first place. When you know you can recover from a setback, you stop worrying about avoiding all mistakes and start focusing on making progress. Resilience also fuels persistence, and persistence is a powerful advantage in entrepreneurship. Many times, success does not go to the person with the best idea, but to the person who simply refused to quit. They made one more call, sent one more proposal, tried one more version of the product. While others gave up, they kept showing up, and eventually the opportunity came. That kind of persistence is only possible when resilience is deeply rooted in your character. There's another important truth about resilience. It inspires trust. Investors, partners, employees, and even customers are drawn to people who don't fold under pressure. If you can stay composed and focused when things go wrong, you project confidence and stability. People want to work with leaders who can weather storms because storms are inevitable in business. Your ability to remain steady gives others the courage to stay the course alongside you. Building resilience requires intentional effort. It means saying yes to challenges that scare you instead of avoiding them. It means staying in the game when it's uncomfortable. It means learning to manage your emotions so they don't dictate your actions. And it means reflecting on every difficulty to extract the lesson so that you walk away not just with a scar, but with wisdom. Over time, you start to notice that the things which used to overwhelm you no longer have the same effect. Problems that once felt like a crisis now feel like a task on your to-do list. That's the sign that your resilience muscle is growing. You begin to move through challenges with less fear and more confidence. And with each test, you become not just more capable in business, but stronger in life. In the world of entrepreneurship, change is not an occasional event, it is a constant. Markets shift. Consumer needs evolve. Technology transforms the way business is done almost overnight. Competitors enter the field with new approaches. What worked perfectly last year might already be outdated today. The entrepreneurs who thrive are the ones who understand that adaptability is not just an advantage, it is survival. The faster you can adapt, the more opportunities you can seize and the more setbacks you can avoid. Adaptability is not about abandoning your vision. It is about being flexible in your methods while staying true to your mission. Too many people confuse stubbornness with strength. They think that holding on to the same plan, no matter what changes around them, shows commitment. But in reality, it often shows resistance to growth. The market does not reward those who cling to outdated methods. It rewards those who can pivot quickly while keeping their core purpose intact. Imagine a sailor at sea. The destination remains the same, but the wind shifts direction. The sailor who insists on keeping the sails set exactly as they were will drift off course or lose momentum. The skilled sailor adjusts the sails, changes position, and uses the new wind to move forward. The goal hasn't changed, but the route has. This is exactly how an entrepreneur must operate. The winds of business, economic conditions, customer behavior, industry trends are always shifting. You cannot control them, but you can control how quickly you respond. Speed of adaptation matters because the window of opportunity is rarely open for long. If a new market trend emerges, the first movers get the advantage. If technology disrupts your industry, the ones who adopt it early can capture market share before others catch up. Waiting too long to adjust often means playing catch up to those who moved faster. In business, hesitation can be more dangerous than making the wrong move, because while you hesitate, others are taking action, learning from their mistakes, and refining their approach. Adaptation also requires letting go of the comfort of the familiar. Change often feels uncomfortable because it forces you to step into the unknown. It asks you to release strategies you've mastered in favor of ones you don't fully understand yet. Many entrepreneurs get stuck here. They resist change because it feels risky. But the truth is, refusing to adapt is the bigger risk. The world is moving with or without you, and standing still in a changing environment is the same as moving backward. One of the most powerful ways to adapt quickly is to maintain a mindset of constant learning. If you're always scanning the horizon for what's coming next, you're better prepared to respond when it arrives. This means studying market trends, listening closely to your customers, observing your competitors, and staying informed about technological advancements in your field. When change comes, you won't be starting from zero. You'll already have ideas about how to adjust. Adaptability also means being willing to experiment. You don't need to overhaul your entire business overnight, but you do need to be open to testing new approaches. This could mean launching a small pilot program, trying a different marketing channel, or adjusting your pricing model to see how the market responds. The more you practice experimenting, the less fear you have about change, because you've built the habit of trying new things without needing absolute certainty first. And sometimes adaptation is about recognizing that a door you've been trying to force open is better left closed. Letting go of what no longer works can be just as important as embracing what does. This is one of the hardest parts for entrepreneurs because it feels like admitting defeat, but it is not defeat. It is discipline. It is the discipline of investing your energy where it has the highest return instead of clinging to something out of pride or habit. When you learn to adapt faster than the situation changes, you turn change into an advantage instead of a threat. While others are still processing what happened, you've already made your move. You've adjusted your approach, aligned with the new reality, and positioned yourself to succeed in it. This agility is not something you wait to develop until a crisis hits. It's a habit you cultivate every day by staying alert, staying flexible, and staying ready to shift the moment the winds change. One of the greatest myths in entrepreneurship is the idea that you need an abundance of resources to start, grow, or innovate. People imagine that if only they had more money, more tools, more connections, they could finally make something happen. But history tells a different story. Some of the most groundbreaking businesses and ideas were born not from abundance, but from limitation. Scarcity forces you to think differently. When you don't have everything you want, you're pushed to make the most of what you have, and in that pressure, creativity thrives. When you have unlimited resources, it's easy to throw money at a problem. But when your options are limited, you're forced to use resourcefulness instead. You begin to see opportunities in places others overlook. You learn to repurpose what's already around you, to innovate within constraints, and to make unconventional choices that set you apart from competitors who have more but think less. Constraints become the spark that lights the fire of invention. Consider the early stages of many successful companies. They didn't start with massive funding or fancy offices. They started in garages, small apartments, and borrowed spaces. They didn't have the perfect tools. They had what they could afford. They didn't have a full team of specialists. They wore multiple hats themselves. Every limitation became a reason to find a smarter, leaner, and more efficient way to operate. That mindset not only kept them alive in the early days, but it also gave them a long-term advantage because they learned how to solve problems without wasting resources. The danger of having too much too soon is that it can make you lazy in your thinking. If you can buy your way out of every challenge, you never build the mental muscles needed to truly innovate. But when you have to find a solution without the perfect tools, you start asking different questions. What else could work? Who could I partner with? How can I test this idea without spending more than I have? Those questions lead to answers that money alone could never buy. Resource limitations also encourage prioritization. When you can't do everything, you have to decide what truly matters. You focus on the actions and investments that bring the highest impact. You strip away the unnecessary, the distractions, and the nice to haves, and you pour your energy into the essentials. This creates a discipline that stays with you even when resources grow, preventing the waste and overcomplication that often sink well-funded ventures. There's also an emotional advantage to building from scarcity. When you've learned to succeed without having it all, you stop fearing the loss of resources. You know you can operate under pressure because you've done it before. That kind of confidence is rare, and it becomes a competitive edge. Others panic when budgets tighten. You see it as familiar territory, a chance to get creative again. Some of the best solutions you'll ever create will come from asking, what can I do with what I already have? That question unlocks possibilities. It pushes you to think about how to leverage relationships, how to use time more effectively, how to adapt existing tools for new purposes. It makes you aware of opportunities hiding in plain sight, opportunities you would have missed if you were waiting for ideal conditions. It's important to remember that entrepreneurship is not a game of who has the most resources. It's a game of who can use their resources most effectively. A small, age-old team with limited funding but high creativity can often outperform a large, well-funded team that relies too heavily on money to solve problems. When you learn to treat limitations as challenges to your ingenuity instead of barriers to your success, you stop seeing them as disadvantages. Scarcity sharpens your vision. It forces you to see what others miss. It teaches you to value progress over perfection, action over excuses, and solutions over complaints. And once you've trained yourself to operate this way, you'll find that even when the resources do come, you still think like a creator, not just a consumer. You'll know that your greatest resource is not money, equipment, or even connections. It's your ability to see possibilities where others only see limits. At the heart of every lasting business is a simple truth. People don't just buy products, they buy solutions to their problems. An entrepreneur with the right mindset understands that the real game is not about making the sale. It's about making a difference. When you shift your focus from how do I sell more to how do I help more, everything about the way you build your business changes. Sales become a byproduct of the value you create, and opportunities start to multiply naturally. Many entrepreneurs get stuck chasing numbers, more revenue, more customers, more transactions. And while those things are important, they are not the true drivers of long-term success. The real driver is trust, and trust is built by consistently solving real problems for real people. When customers believe you understand their challenges and are committed to making their lives better, they don't just buy from you once. They keep coming back, and they bring others with them. This approach requires a deep understanding of the people you serve. You can't create solutions that truly help unless you take the time to listen, to observe, and to understand their needs on a level that goes beyond the surface. What keeps them awake at night? What frustrates them? What would make their life easier, faster, or more enjoyable? The more clearly you can answer those questions, the more effectively you can create something that feels tailor-made for them. When your focus is on service, you also begin to see challenges differently. A complaint is not an attack. It's an opportunity to improve. Negative feedback is not a reason to feel defeated. It's a map showing you exactly where your solution can become stronger. While others avoid criticism, a service-minded entrepreneur leans into it because they know that each improvement deepens the value they offer and strengthens the bond with their customers. Building solutions that serve also means thinking long-term. Anyone can make a quick sale with a clever promotion or persuasive pitch, But if what you're offering doesn't deliver lasting value, that sale will be the last one you make to that customer. A service-driven entrepreneur builds with the future in mind, creating products, systems, and experiences that keep delivering value long after the transaction is complete. That's how you build not just customers, but loyal advocates for your business. There's also a powerful side effect of focusing on service. It drives innovation. When you're looking for ways to genuinely help, you push beyond the obvious solutions. You experiment. You think creatively. You combine ideas from different industries. You anticipate needs before customers even realize they have them. This is how breakthroughs happen, not from chasing trends for quick profit, but from caring enough to keep searching for better answers. Another important aspect of this mindset is integrity. When your primary goal is to serve, you naturally make decisions that put the customer's interest first. You don't overpromise just to close a deal. You don't cut corners in ways that will hurt them later. You understand that your reputation is your most valuable asset, and you protect it by delivering on your word. This kind of integrity builds a level of credibility that no amount of advertising can buy. And here's something that often surprises people. When you focus on serving instead of selling, the selling takes care of itself. People want to do business with those who have proven they care about delivering value. They remember the experience you gave them. They remember how you made them feel heard and respected. They remember that you didn't just treat them like a number, but as someone worth helping. In a world full of businesses competing for attention, that kind of connection is rare and it stands out. The entrepreneur who builds solutions that serve is playing a bigger game than just making a living. They are creating something meaningful. They are not just moving products, they are moving people toward a better version of their lives. And when you build from that foundation, you're not just building a business, you're building something that matters, something that lasts, and something that keeps growing because it is rooted in genuine value. The journey of an entrepreneur is not defined by luck or by having the perfect starting conditions. It is defined by mindset. Challenges will come in many forms, problems that seem impossible to solve, sudden changes in the market, limited resources, setbacks that test your patience, and moments when giving up feels easier than pushing forward. But every one of these moments carries a hidden door, and the key to opening it lies in how you think, how you adapt, and how you choose to act. When you start seeing problems as invitations instead of obstacles, you stop fearing them and start using them. When you master the art of perspective, you stop being trapped by what went wrong and begin focusing on what can go right. When you build resilience like a muscle, you develop the ability to stand back up no matter how many times you're knocked down. When you adapt faster than the situation changes, you position yourself ahead of those still deciding how to respond. When you turn resource limits into creativity fuel, you uncover solutions no one else thought of. And when you build solutions that serve, not just sell, you create value that lasts far beyond a single transaction. An entrepreneur's mindset is not a single skill. It is the combination of these disciplines, practiced over and over until they become part of who you are. It is the understanding that every challenge can be a stepping stone, every setback can be a lesson, and every limitation can be a catalyst for something greater. With this mindset, you are no longer waiting for opportunity. You are creating it. And when you live and work this way, you don't just survive the game of business. You change it.